Good afternoon, welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday the 1st of November. Following Robert Murray McShane, today we read 2 Kings chapter 14, and I struck in verse 23. In the northern kingdom in Israel, the king dies and the son Jeroboam takes over. Now this is the second king Jeroboam in Israel, and we're told that this Jeroboam, the second one, was evil like the first one. In verse 24, he did evil in the eyes of the Lord and did not turn away from any of the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. And so a new king begins reigning, and we're told that he reigned for about 40 years. He restored some of the territory to Israel. But I was struck by verse 26. The Lord had seen how bitterly everyone in Israel, whether slave or free, was suffering. There was no one to help them. And since the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, son of Jehoash. So here is Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, an evil king, was not doing what he ought to do, and yet God used him. God used this evil king to save his people. It was a temporary salvation because a little later God's judgment finally came on them and the northern kingdom was destroyed. But I was struck by the fact that God could use an evil king to save his people. And having just come back from the polls on local government election day, and having looked through this long list of candidates and parties, and having great questions around all of them and what they would do and how they would manage and who would actually be the best, and you end up thinking you're choosing the least worst of the list. Because none of them seem to be exemplary, and certainly I don't think there's any at the moment any party which has come across as exemplary as well. But that doesn't mean that God can't use them. And I think as Christians we vote with intelligence, we vote with integrity, we use our standards that God gives us in the Word to guide us in our voting, and then we pray that God will use whoever is elected, and God will use them in his purposes, whether they are Christian or not, no matter what their background, no matter where they come from, no matter what they think. If God could use this evil king Jeroboam to achieve his purposes, God can use anyone. And so as Christians, we keep praying that God will work through the leaders of our nation, of our communities. And we encourage Christians to stand for those positions, but we don't despair if the people that are in leadership positions do not consciously align themselves with God, because God is ultimately in charge, irrespective of what anyone might think or believe. So for me, that's a great encouragement, and I trust it will encourage you to be blessed.